Hi everyone. I've reached the 2-month mark with my Permobil M300 electric wheelchair. I want to leave a follow-up video. Before I talk about my own M300 wheelchair, I actually want to back up to August. I received a loaner wheelchair to test drive. After driving it for 1 week, one of the bearings had come loose and one of the wheels began to flutter. I've had flutter happen to me before in my previous wheelchair. It's a very straightforward fix, and I took the wheelchair home and it worked wonderfully for the 2 months that I test drove it. I was driving in the range of 40 miles or 60 kilometers each week. The reason I was driving it so much was because of taking it back and forth to my physiotherapy 5 days a week and then doing my grocery shopping with it. So by the time I completed the 2 months of the loaner wheelchair, I was getting ready that I wanted my own wheelchair, and I had a really good opinion of the wheelchair. I don't have any problem that the bearing needed to be adjusted during that time. I heavily use it and I heavily rely on it. It's like an automobile. If you use it, it's going to need to have maintenance done. So I was pleased with it. My own Permobil M300 wheelchair was given to me on October the 28th. And the 2 months that I've had it could not have been more different or challenging than the loaner wheelchair that I had. And I was honestly quite surprised because I couldn't see a company staying in business that their equipment needed servicing literally once a week. My first trip out of the home, the wheelchair died on the sidewalk. In the end, it turned out that a wire had come loose. Permobil sent their regional service technician to help diagnose this and get it fixed, and I had the loaner wheelchair back overnight. So that was taken care of. The next issue happened that same evening when I got it back. I have full-size crutches, the kind that go from the ground to under the armpit. I asked for the crutches holder accessory, and the adult crutches bounce out of the wheelchair. So the resolution to this was adding a strap onto the crutches holder. I was frustrated that this happened. I care a whole lot about having integrity. I wouldn't want to accidentally hurt someone by one of my crutches falling on them, or hurt someone's vehicle by one of my crutches landing on it. So I was really disappointed that this happened, but adding a strap to it did work. And in fact, some friends that I showed this to thought that the strap I added came with the wheelchair itself. The next problem with the wheelchair happened the next day that I owned it. I was again going to the swimming pool. The front right caster started fluttering. I was only 10 centimeters or 4 inches from the curb. When the flutter started, it pulled me to the right and I impacted the curb at the 12 kilometers per hour or 7.5 miles per hour. It was a very violent collision. The wheelchair abruptly turned 90 degrees to the right, so as I'd impacted the curb, I was now facing the curb. The only reason I did not follow the wheelchair was because I had the seat belt on. So on the Monday morning, Permobil replaced the fork that supports the wheel. So the fork is the metal that joins the wheel to the wheelchair. Unfortunately, that flutter was just the beginning of it, and literally once a week a bearing was needed tightening. And if it wasn't once a week, it was averaging once a week, where maybe 2 bearings needed tightening during 1 week, and then I had a break from it happening during the following week. And I got to be really frustrated really quickly by this happening. And the reason is the knock-on effect. Part of why I'm using this wheelchair is because of chronic pain. And I'll tell you, having to spend my time and energy trying to make it right was having a terrible effect on my quality of life. So at the 2-month mark, I actually wrote a letter to the CEO of Permobil and told him that I wanted it returned and to go with a different electric wheelchair manufacturer. He didn't respond himself, but he sent the letter back locally to tell them to offer it to me or offer me a replacement under warranty. I didn't think Permobil was a bad company, but I couldn't keep going the way that I was. I just didn't have the time or the energy to keep putting into it. In the intern, I had found out that my dad is dying of liver cancer, and I couldn't see myself going through the whole process again of trying to work out which electric wheelchair I should be choosing. So I've agreed to this wheelchair being returned under warranty and starting over with a fresh M300. I am hopeful that the replacement wheelchair will work correctly. I honestly could not see Permobil still being in business if their clients were having as much problem as I've had during the past 2 months. So I'm going to leave this with you. I'm going to tell you that if the wheelchair's not working right, you need to speak up promptly. It's more than reasonable to expect the wheelchair to need to work right. I don't have a problem with the bearings needed to be adjusted, but it's when the adjustments are needing adjusting and then adjusting a third time is when I start to find it really, really frustrating. So if this does happen to you, do your best to communicate with the employee who recommended the wheelchair. Part of this went down during the Christmas vacation, where I had all that I was going to put up with, and that's part of why I wrote the CEO. And the other reason I wrote the CEO was I could not keep going the way I was. I didn't have any more time or energy to put into it. I finally want to mention that Permobil sent their regional service technician to meet with me to try to resolve this at week 6. But sadly, the wheelchair actually broke 3 more times after that. And I had expected everything to be resolved at the point where I had talked to the regional technician and that he had made his own set of adjustments to the wheelchair. So I will post another video when I get my new wheelchair and see how it goes. My gut's telling me that it's going to go a whole lot better than what I've had to deal with during the past 2 months. But I will keep you informed. If you have any questions for me, please leave me a message in the comments and I will do my best to respond to you. I am wanting to see this work out. Okay? Have a wonderful day. Bye for now.